I don't think we need to wait for it to stream up. I think we're on here right now. Hey, I wanna give a little words of wisdom this morning, and it's from a guy named Frederick Nietzsche, Nietzsche, and he says, "Be careful when you fight the monsters, lest you become one."
Huh.
Words of wisdom. And another person with a lot of wisdom and a lot of words right now is expert, renowned geopolitical and financial cycle expert Charles Niener. You've heard us talk about him before. Rob, we've talked about Charles before. And he said back in late, in fact, we talked about this, and he said back in late November that interest rates were on their way down, but for the very short term. Remember that, Rob?
I do.
Right? And he goes on, he says he predicted that inflation might come down to about 6.5%, 6.5%. And the latest CPI number clocked in this week at 6.4%. Imagine that.
Yeah.
We talked about this back in November before the new year. We said, wait, 2023 is coming, and it's going to be worse than 2022. Well, anyway, the latest CPI number, like I said, clocked at 6.4%, and Niener was right on both counts. And now, open up your ears. Niener says that inflation bottomed and that his cycle says prices for everything will go up from here. So is the Fed going to do the so-called pivot that we've been talking about and start lowering the interest rates? Niener says we are going up, not right away, but we're going up. And you don't hear the talk anymore that the Fed is going to lower rates because it's so ridiculous. And he says if you are an insider, the Fed funds rate in the future just made a new high. So now everybody is expecting a much higher Fed funds rate than a few months ago. And we are not out of trouble yet. And the bounce in the stocks is almost over. He says he sees short-term rates going on up until 2024 and a Fed funds rate of 6.5%. He also thinks that the stock market can go down to 40% later in 2023. So we've been telling you guys this.
That's right.
This is why we tell you, and this is why I put it on the stream. Start getting prepared, because I don't want to be the one to tell you I told you so. And I can't tell you how many times I've said that in my years that I've said I told you so. And it's not because I'm brilliant or smart or anything like that. It's because I'm an expert at this. I know exactly, well, I guess you could say I'm pretty smart then. But I know exactly, because all you have to do is look at what's happening out there and just know that you need to be prepared, right? I mean, think about it. When you were younger, if you were younger and you had savings account, you did it because you wanted to save up. You get these retirement accounts because you want something for when you retire. Well, the problem with that is when you invest in paper, that's exactly what you get, and paper can be destroyed. And that's what me and Rob here talk about. And talking about Rob, you guys, I mean, you say I don't let him talk enough. So I guess I got to stop talking. So I'm going to become like.
Well, I mean, you take the words mostly out of my mouth most of the time we're speaking. So, I mean, there's only so much I can say about a situation if you're already saying it, because we think the same when it comes to finance.
Right?
So.
Oh,
that was bright.
There we go. There's some light on. But I don't mean to take the words out of your mouth.
I just think the same when it comes to finance.
Yeah, I feel stupid sitting here by myself, and that's why, you're the smartest one in the office here. I like to have you sitting here next to me, so that I'm not saying that everyone's dumb, but you've been doing this for a long time, and you're pretty knowledgeable. Anyway, let me tell you what Niener also says. He says on the war front, he said that the war in Ukraine is going to get worse. And he's right again, because now he says if the West does not understand what is going on and starts bringing in airplanes, I'm really afraid for the worst. But everybody, he says, nobody has any idea how countries think. They think that you can push everybody around, and you can't push everybody around. And at a certain moment, they will say they've had enough.
Right.
And I don't think we're ready for a big war, not even to mention a nuclear war. So something is going to come down and make everyone very afraid, he says. And I think this is why the markets will go down. In other words, people start freaking out by the middle of 2023. Well, folks, we're at February right now.
Almost
January, February, March, April. We're just a few months away. And you remember what we talked about in 2022. We were just a few months away, and we kept telling you, prepare, prepare. Then we have people calling us after 2022 saying, I lost 30% in my 401k. I want to get out. Well, you wouldn't have lost 30% in your 401k if you would have listened to us. You may not have got rich quick, but at least you wouldn't have lost all that money, 30%, which was what was lost last year in these 401ks. Rob, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're spot on. I mean, we are getting a lot of calls with people wanting to finally make a decision to start making changes to their account. And a lot of these people that we're helping out right now were people who we spoke with, believe it or not, almost a year ago. I couldn't tell you. I'm probably talking to 15 different people right now that are looking to make changes to their account, and they're in process. And they're like, Rob, when you and the opener called, I didn't know who you guys were. You walked me through who you guys were. You presented me some really compelling information. I just didn't believe you. I thought you were full of shit. And now, because I waited so long, I don't even think I have enough for the next 10 years of retirement. And I'm only 50 something. I'm only 60 something. And I just helped out Charlie the other day. I had him call a client that I spoke with in the summertime of last year, and the husband and wife were like, "Thank God you called me back, Rob. We were looking for your number. We were trying to get a hold of you, and we couldn't find your text messages or your emails. You must have erased them. But thank God you had this guy call for us to speak with you again. We're ready to make a decision and start protecting what we have." And they're like, "It's all the same story." And I asked him, I said, what took so long? Why'd you want to rip the Band-Aid off and participate now, or why'd you want to stop the bleeding right now? And they're just like, it's not that we lost money that we're making the decision. We have the possibility of never accessing our money, and we finally realized that. So people are starting to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. I mean, it's like, I understand there's a lot of people out there that have lost a lot of money in their accounts, and they're afraid that if they move it, that they're never going to get back what they lost. Well, guess what? You're never going to get back what you lost anyway.
Exactly.
So stop losing more. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the math. You lose 30, 40%, you have to make 60 to 120% just to break even.
Is that the spirit in you talking?
Hey, listen.
somebody said that Rob. Somebody commented yesterday and said that Rob has the spirit in him, and he does have a spirit in him. That's the spirit talking.
Yeah.
But no, it's true, Rob.
Yeah.
And this is what's really sad is these people, and then I've got them where they don't even want to, when they get their statements, they don't even want to open it because they don't want to see what damage has been done to their account.
Mm-hmm.
So they just keep it sealed in the envelope until somebody like us calls them and says, "Open it."
Yeah.
Open sesame. Yeah. But listen, let me finish talking about Neener, because he says based on the war cycle, the war is going to pick up and it's not going to end well. And he also says that the bull market in gold he sees in his cycles has not started yet, but it's only weeks away. And this is what we've been saying. Now is the time. If you're going to buy gold and silver, I mean, you can buy it anytime you want, but you really want to buy it at a good price, dive in now. I don't care. Whatever you got, dive in now. Because like Neener, I also see an enormous upside for gold. Rob, I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
And this is why we're telling people now is the best time. And we see enormous because there's inside information that Neener says from the big economic summit in Davos. And this is what Neener is saying. And Neener knows because he's connected to all the big bankers and everything. Remember, he's a geopolitical financial analyst. And not only just that, he's an expert at it. He said, I heard things that can make your stomach turn. Coming from Neener, this is real. And they are really concerned with taking out cash. We've been telling you this now ever since you started listening to us, that we're headed toward a cashless society, whether you like it or not. Central bank digital currency is becoming real. Look at who they just took out of the Federal Reserve and brought in to the Biden administration to handle their economic division. Lael Brainard, who was number 2 in line at the Federal Reserve. She is now the head of the economic division for the Biden administration. Did you hear about that? That just happened.
Lael Brainard's a scary lady.
Scary. The banks don't even like her. Regulations, everything. So here's what he says. They are really concerned with taking out cash, and they will have digital currency. Not that they're thinking about having digital currency, but they will have digital currency. Where did he get this information? He says, I have inside information from the big economic summit that was held in Davos. He said they will have digital currency, and gold can hit $2,500 per ounce. And we said that years ago. And if it goes to that, gold can then become $30,000 per ounce. Put that in your vault.
Yeah.
$30,000 per ounce. And that could be, he said, because maybe things get so bad that they have to go back to the gold standard. And he sees higher prices for food and energy and lower prices for residential and commercial real estate. But what good's it going to do when inflation's so high? You ain't going to have money to be able to have residential or commercial real estate. So more and more people will, a lot of these big corporations, a lot of these big buildings will end up going bankrupt.
That's right.
Is that what you see in the future too, Rob?
I mean, as they continue to raise interest rates, I mean, think about it. I mean, what's 8 or 9% on a $100 million, $200 million loan,
right?
What's 15, 20% in the near future on a commercial property like that? So I mean, yeah, it's I think the issue really doesn't come from the loan side, right? Because if you could afford a $200 million commercial real estate property or whatever the case may be, the loan's not the issue. The issue is your tenants. Because if the interest is that high, you're going to have to go ahead and double or triple your lease payment for whoever's leasing it from you. So same thing with homes.
Rob, what the hell is going on with trucks overturning in Arizona, spilling nitric acid all over, telling people now to shelter in place? I was talking to a young, what the heck, a truck here.
You never hear a truck like that around here.
Never heard that before.
Wow.
Hope they ain't got no nitrous oxide.
Oh my goodness! Could you imagine Hollywood Boulevard?
But not only that, Pete Buttigieg is the transportation secretary, and he is supposed to be all over this. And let me tell you something. There is some major shit going on right now in East Palestine, Ohio. And it has to do, if you haven't already heard, and I'm sure you all have, of a toxic chemical explosion and fire. Now, if this was something else, of course, the Biden administration, but for some reason, the Biden administration isn't even mentioning about this. And let me tell you a little bit about this lady called Amanda Brashears. So Amanda Brashears found all of her chickens and her roosters dead following the controlled release of the toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio, last week. Now, Amanda lives only 10 miles away, and she found all of her chickens dead the morning after this mushroom cloud explosion. And people across the Mahoning Valley, including those who live in Mahoning and Trumbull counties, reported smelling chlorine after Monday's controlled release in East Palestine. An official said it wasn't dangerous, but one North Lima woman is now skeptical about that statement. And even though North Lima is a little more than 10 miles away from East Palestine, Amanda Brashears said that the smell caused her eyes to water when she went to let her dog out. And she believes it could be the reason why her birds are now dead. And she goes on, Brashears was going to feed her 5 hens and roosters. I know why she has them. My God, eggs are up 75. It's ridiculous what eggs are. But 5 hens and roosters Tuesday morning when she discovered them all lifeless, practically in the same position with no signs of a predator entering their enclosure. She said, I'm beyond upset and quite panicked because this may be just chickens, but they're family, she said. Brashears said her chickens were alive and well on Monday, and she believes that the smell following the detonation of the train carrying these chemicals that derailed in East Palestine is blamed for her bird's sudden death. But you know, Rob, it's not just birds that are dying. There's thousands of fish that are turning up in the lakes over there dead. It's like a Chernobyl.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything about it. You'd think they'd have hazmat crews over there. You know, you'd think you'd be hearing about all this, right? You don't hear nothing about it. I'll tell you something else you don't hear about, that there's these rare pests now that I'm sure it's the cartels trying to smuggle this shit in, but they're trying to smuggle in bugs that are detrimental to our crops here in the United States. So they ship them from, and they caught this particular bug. I can't even mention the name of it because I can't even say it, but they caught it in a celery shipment. So remember I said last time, I said, well, you'll start watching the power grids go down. There'll be terrorists coming after the power grids. I wouldn't doubt if they start trying to smuggle bugs and food across the border into the United States and let them get into our crops.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good way to destroy the crops, right?
Exactly.
And isn't that what they do? In fact, Biden, listen to what Joe, and by the way, where's Joe Biden? Back in his basement?
Right.
Whenever there's trouble, Joe Biden don't come around. Joe Biden don't even, look, you got him shooting at imaginary things in the sky. Sure, they got one China balloon, but all these other things, they don't know what the hell they're shooting at. I think these things cost $1.5 million, these weapons or whatever it is that they're shooting. It's crazy. One of them was an octagon that was, octagon with a string attached to it. I'm like, it's probably a kite. Rob's like, no, it's this hexagon thing. I'm like, what the hell is this hexagon thing? Something about a hologram they shoot up in the sky to create some kind of like panic or
distraction,
aliens or distraction or something. And it's interesting because not a word is, Biden was talking every day, a week ago or over a week ago, and now he's silent. And when things are really good, he comes out, my Biden, I did it. He didn't do a damn thing. At least when Trump came out and he said he did something, it really happened. But now we have 6.4%, right, according to the inflation, which the real number is at about 21%. So Biden claims that food prices are coming down, and an inflation report shows prices rose in January. What is this guy on? Lithium. That's what they give them. They give them lithium. Lithium is what they actually give them. But let me tell you something. If you watched Jesse Waters yesterday, It was really good, which I love Jesse. I love watching this guy because he doesn't hold back. And he goes on, he says that he pointed out that just a year ago, we had a national emergency over monkeypox. But we don't have nothing happening in Ohio right now. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Monkeypox, which was created by the homosexuals, I understand, like the AIDS or whatever. But supposedly this monkeypox, only the AIDS people, I mean the AIDS people, the homosexual people got it, and they broke out with these lesions all over their body. You don't hear no more about monkeypox. They probably broke out because of the vaccines they were taking. I don't know. I don't know what kind of vaccines they were taking. I'm just saying.
It just surprised me that there's nobody. They're not sending aid to Ohio to like clean that up, but you send billions of dollars to the Ukraine.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Listen, Biden never shuts up about trains, and he told us that he was going to cure cancer. And now a train goes off the tracks, and they light it on fire. And it's probably going to give everybody cancer, and the president calls a lid. Wow. Right. And they have the whole Ohio River contaminated right now. And these chemicals are flowing downstream to West Virginia, and we have not even declared a national emergency yet.
It's crazy. East Palestine is very close to Cincinnati, where I used to live at.
It's floating downstream.
And I have friends who live in Columbus. They're like, yeah, it's terrible.
Think about it. Once those toxic, and they haven't even told us what these toxic chemicals are. Once these toxic chemicals get into that water and flows downstream, eventually gets into the drinking waters. I mean, and let me tell you something. We declared a national emergency over monkeypox, and there's no national emergency here.
And was monkeypox even real?
I don't even think so.
I think it was fake fucking news.
I think it was all fake news.
I knew nobody.
Well, listen, Biden is just too scared of letting a single piece of debris from a balloon fall in Montana. Think about that for a minute. But he's okay with cancerous chemicals in our rivers.
Yeah, it's
and I mean,
crazy.
If it's not Joe, you'd think maybe Al Gore would be mad. This is what you would think Al Gore, right?
Yeah.
Everything, Al Gore, environmentalist, Greenpeace. What about Greta Thunberg? Where's that little teenager?
Yeah, where the hell's she at?
Where's that little wench at right now? No chemical catastrophe causing acid rain and dead fish. That's what's happening right now.
Crazy. Acid
rain and dead fish. And how is, artificial intelligence not red in the face right now? How is Al not? How is it? And even Mayor Pete, he's hiding, and he's literally in charge of the railroad system. This thing's gotten so bad, even Elon Omar and Jesse Waters Primetime agree that the squadster's saying we need direct action from Pete. But guess what? Pete's with his husband, probably taking care of their kids at home, or he's talking about racial something, Pete Buttigieg. He needs to be fired. This guy doesn't even have any experience as a transportation. This job that he was given to him was a gift. Just like all those other people.
You just got to look at it from a really strong perspective that if it doesn't help the narrative or boost the narrative, they don't give a fuck about it.
No, they don't.
So what's a small podunk town like East Palestine gonna do to benefit the narrative? Absolutely nothing. I mean,
it's worse than that, Rob.
What about the
kids
mayor?
in school,
kids, yeah, all that. But what about the mayor of East Palestine or some?
Well, they're talking. They've been talking. Nobody's helping them.
Well, they need to get the fuck off their ass and do something about it.
You would think the government would do something, right? But there's a major cover-up happening right now.
Well, yeah, and this happened 2 weeks ago.
Well, let me tell you something. The rail company, which is Norfolk Southern.
They're
doing whatever they want. And when Norfolk Southern's trains spilled 500 tons of toxic chemicals all over Ohio, they said, all right, guys, this is how we're going to handle these things. The crime scene we have here, we're just going to light it on fire. Biden administration and the Ohio government said, okay, just throw a match on it and we'll say it's safe. That's what Waters said last night. And Mayor Pete Buttigieg is as useless as Karine Jean-Pierre, and we're just being led by a bunch of fools right now. Is what Jesse said. Waters said.
I'm not being led by anybody, but I mean,
on that note, just get prepared. We've given you the number 800-753-8534. Please tell your friends and Chris out there, tell your friends just to all like us. Go on to Rumble and like us, Rumble us, or YouTube, like us on YouTube. We got a lot more coming out. Once we get this screen in the back all set up, we'll be able to actually show like films on there, do a lot of different things. But my girl is down in Florida right now doing a presentation for us, and she'll be back next week, and we'll start getting this all set up. God bless every single one of you.